Dr. Jiwoo Kim walked through the metal halls of the space station carrying her medical bag. The bag was huge and heavy, almost as big as her body. Other soldiers looked at her and shook their heads. Some laughed quietly. Others just stared like she was crazy. The space station was called Horizon's Edge, and it floated in the dark between human space and alien space. For 3 months now, both humans and aliens had been working together to guard this place. The Kronak were coming. Everyone knew it. The Kronak were bad aliens who wanted to kill everything and take over planets. They were big and strong and scary. They had sharp teeth and claws like wild animals. Jiwoo did not look like a fighter. She was small and quiet. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple way. She wore the same uniform as everyone else, but hers had a red cross on it. The red cross meant she was a doctor. While other soldiers carried big guns and explosives, she carried bandages and medicine. Captain Tae-min Lee was talking to his squad near the main door. He was a tall man with scars on his face from old battles. He had fought aliens before and won. When he saw Jiwoo walk by with her big bag, he stopped talking. "Look at that," Tae-min said loud enough for everyone to hear. "We are about to fight, for our lives, and she brings a hospital with her." The other soldiers laughed. A young pilot named Heejin Park shook her head. "What good will bandages do against Kronak claws?" she asked. "Those things can cut through metal." Jiwoo heard them but kept walking. She had heard this before. People always thought doctors were weak. They thought fighting meant only shooting and hitting. They did not understand that keeping people alive was also a kind of fighting. Neri. The command center. There was a big alien. His name was Commander Veltar, and he was from a species called the Valith. The Valith looked like tall blue people with 4 arms. They were smart and good at making weapons. Veltar was here to watch how humans fought. His people wanted to know if humans were good allies or just weak creatures who got lucky. Veltar saw Jiwoo with her medical bag and made a sound like a laugh. "Humans," he said to his assistant. "They bring healers to war. This is why they are soft. The Kronak will eat them alive." Jiwoo stopped near a wall and opened her bag. Inside were things that most people did not understand. There were not just bandages and pills. There were combat stims that could make a wounded soldier fight for 10 more minutes. There were neural stabilizers that could fix brain damage from explosions. There were universal blood substitutes that worked on any species. There were pain blockers so strong they could let someone fight with a broken leg. She also had tools that looked like medical equipment but could be used for other things. Her bone saw could cut through alien armor. Her nerve scanner could find weak spots in enemy bodies. Her injection gun could deliver medicine or poison depending on what she put in it. But nobody knew this because they only saw a small woman with a big bag full of medical supplies. A young soldier named Shung Ho Yoon came up to her. He was only 19 and this was his first real battle. He looked scared. "Dr. Kim," he said quietly, "are we really going to fight the Kronak?" Jiwoo looked at him with kind eyes. "Yes," she said, "but do not worry. I will make sure you come home." Sung-ho felt a little better. There was something about the way she said it that made him believe her. She was not just talking about fixing wounds. She was talking about something bigger. The alarm started ringing. Red lights flashed everywhere. A voice came over the speakers. "All units to battle stations. Kronak ships detected. Time to contact. 30 minutes. Everyone started running. Soldiers grabbed their weapons and ran to their positions. Pilots ran to their ships. Engineers ran to their stations. The space station became full of noise and movement. Tae-min called to his squad. "Remember what we practiced," he shouted. "Stay together, watch each other's backs, and try not to die." He looked at Jiwoo, who was checking her equipment one more time. "Doctor," he called out, "you should stay in the medical bay where it's safe. Leave the fighting to the fighters." Jiwoo stood up and put her bag over her shoulder. "I go where people need help," she said. "And people are going to need help where the fighting is." Tae-min shook his head. "You will just get in the way. We need fighters, not babysitters." Hyejin agreed. "She should stay back and fix us up after we win." But Jiwoo was already walking toward the battle area. She moved different than other people. She was calm while everyone else was excited. She was quiet while everyone else was shouting. She was ready. Veltar watched her go and spoke to his assistant again. The humans send their weakest to the front lines. This will be over quickly. The assistant nodded. Should we prepare to retreat when the humans fall? Yes, Veltar said. Their softness will doom us all. But there was something they did not see. As Jiwoo walked through the corridors, other people started to feel different. The scared young soldiers saw her and felt braver. The wounded from earlier battles saw her and felt hope. Even some of the aliens who worked on the station looked at her with respect. An engineer named Do-hyun Choi was fixing a broken wall panel when Jiwoo walked by. He had hurt his hand on some sharp metal. "Doctor," he called out. Jiwoo stopped and looked at his hand. It was bleeding, but not badly. She took out a small spray bottle and fixed it in 10 seconds. But while she worked, she also checked the wall panel. "This damage is from weapons testing," she said. "Kronak energy weapons. They have been here before." Do-hyun looked surprised. "How do you know that?" "I study alien biology," Jiwoo said, "including how their weapons affect different materials. This burn pattern is specific to Kronak plasma rifles." She finished with his hand and moved on. Do-hyun watched her go and realized she was not just a doctor. She was something else. Something the others did not understand yet. The 30 minutes passed quickly. Through the windows, people could see the Kronak ships approaching. They were big and dark and shaped like claws. There were many of them. Too many. Jiwoo stood in the main corridor that led to the docking bays. This was where the Kronak would try to get inside. She opened her bag and started taking out equipment. Not just medical equipment. Combat equipment, too. Taemin saw her and ran over. "What are you doing? Get to safety." "I am exactly where I need to be," Jiwoo said. She put a neural scanner on her belt and loaded her injection gun with combat stims. "When people get hurt, I will be here to help them keep fighting." "You are going to get yourself killed," Taemin said. Jiwoo looked at him with steady eyes. "Maybe. But I am going to save a lot of lives first, including yours." The first explosion came from the docking bay. The Kronak had arrived. The metal doors exploded inward with a sound like thunder. Smoke and fire filled the corridor. Through the smoke came the Kronak. They were bigger than humans, covered in dark scales that looked like armor. Their eyes glowed red, and their mouths were full of sharp teeth. They carried weapons that shot bright plasma bolts. Jiwoo pressed herself against the wall as the first wave of Kronak warriors charged past her hiding spot. They were focused on the main group of human soldiers ahead. She counted 12 of them. Big, fast, and deadly. The fighting started immediately. Plasma bolts flew through the air like angry lightning. Human bullets answered back. The noise was terrible. People were shouting. Aliens were roaring. Weapons were firing. Seung-ho Yoon was with the first group of defenders. He had never seen real combat before. When he saw the Kronak up close, he froze. One of the aliens was running straight at him with claws out. Seung-ho could not move. A plasma bolt from Taemin's rifle hit the Kronak in the chest. The alien stumbled but did not fall. These creatures were tough. The wounded Kronak turned and charged at Taemin instead. Jiwoo saw what was happening. She pulled out her injection gun and loaded it with a combat stim. The stim would make someone stronger and faster for a short time. She ran towards Seung-ho, who was still frozen with fear. "Seung-ho!" she called out. "Move!" The young soldier snapped out of his fear just as Jiwoo reached him. She pressed the injection gun against his neck and pulled the trigger. The combat stim went into his blood. His eyes became bright and alert. His fear went away. "Stay behind cover," she told him. "Shoot when you have a clear target. Do not waste bullets." Another explosion came from deeper in the station. The Kronak had breached in multiple places. Jiwoo could hear fighting on at least 3 different levels. Do-hyun Choi came running around the corner. He was bleeding from his head and limping. A piece of metal was stuck in his leg. "Doctor," he called out. "The engineering section is lost. They are everywhere." Jiwoo caught him as he stumbled. The metal in his leg was deep, but it had missed the major blood vessels. She could fix this, but not here in the middle of a battle. "Can you walk?" she asked. I think so, Do-hyun said. Then we move. Ji-woo put his arm over her shoulder and helped him toward a safer position. But as they moved, she saw something that made her stop. There was a Kronak warrior lying on the floor. He was badly wounded. Green blood was pooling around him. His breathing was quick and shallow. He was dying. The Kronak's name was Crix. He was young for his species, only 50 years old. He had been shot 3 times by human weapons. His armor was broken and his left arm was nearly cut off. He should have been dead already, but Kronak were tough creatures. Ji-woo looked at the dying alien. Do-hyun looked at her with confusion. Doctor, we need to go. There are more coming. But Ji-woo was already kneeling next to the wounded Kronak. She opened her medical bag and took out universal blood substitute and a neural stabilizer. What are you doing? Do-hyun asked, and that thing tried to kill us. He is dying, Ji-woo said simply. She injected the blood substitute into the Kronak's neck. The alien's eyes opened and looked at her. There was surprise in those red eyes, and confusion. Crix had never seen anything like this. In Kronak culture, enemies were killed or they killed you. There was no middle ground. But this small human female was healing him. It made no sense. Ji-woo worked quickly. She stopped the bleeding and stabilized the damaged arm. She gave him pain blockers so he could think clearly. The whole time she kept one eye on the corridor around them. This is insane, came a voice over the radio. It was Taemin. He could see what she was doing through his helmet camera. Ji-woo, get away from that thing. But Ji-woo kept working. She knew something that the others did not understand yet. Healing this Kronak was not just about saving one life. It was about something bigger. When she finished, Crix was stable. He would live. The Kronak warrior looked at her with those red eyes and tried to understand what had happened. In his language, he spoke one word. Why? Ji-woo did not speak Kronak, but she understood the question. She looked at him and said quietly, because everyone deserves a chance to live. Crix stared at her. In 50 years of life, no one had ever healed him except other Kronak. And no one had ever healed an enemy. This concept did not exist in his world. Slowly, Crix reached for his weapon. It was a plasma pistol that had fallen beside him. Ji-woo saw him reach for it, but she did not move away. She just watched him. Crix picked up the weapon and pointed it at her. His finger was on the trigger. Do-hyun started to shout a warning, but Ji-woo held up her hand to stop him. For long seconds, the Kronak warrior and the human doctor looked at each other. Crix could kill her easily. She had saved his life and now he could take hers. It would be simple, but something was wrong. His warrior training told him to shoot, but something else in his mind told him to stop. This human had done something no enemy had ever done. She had shown him mercy. The hesitation lasted only 3 seconds, but it was enough. Ji-woo moved fast. She grabbed a nerve disruptor from her belt and pressed it against Crix's neck. The device sent a small electrical charge into his nervous system. Not enough to hurt him, but enough to make his muscles stop working for a few minutes. Crix fell unconscious, but he was still alive, still breathing, still healed. Come on, Ji-woo said to Do-hyun. We need to keep moving. They continued down the corridor toward the main battle. Do-hyun could walk better now that Ji-woo had treated his wound, but he was confused by what he had seen. Doctor, he said, why did you heal that alien? It was trying to kill us. Because healing is what I do, Ji-woo said. I do not pick and choose based on species. But it makes no sense tactically, Do-hyun said. You just gave the enemy back a fighter. Ji-woo stopped walking and looked at him. Did I? Think about what just happened. That Kronak warrior had a clear shot at me. He could have killed me easily. But he hesitated. Why do you think that was? Do-hyun thought about it. Because you confused him. Because I showed him something he had never seen before, Ji-woo said. I showed him that humans are different, that we do not have to be enemies. They reached the main battle area. The fighting was intense. Humans and Kronak were shooting at each other from behind cover. The air was full of smoke and the smell of burned metal. Taemin was behind an overturned table with 3 other soldiers. One of them was wounded. Taemin saw Jiwoo and Do-hyun approach. "Doctor," he called out. "Private Wan is hit bad. We need help." Jiwoo ran to them while staying low to avoid the plasma bolts flying overhead. Private Wan had been shot in the chest. The wound was serious but not fatal if treated quickly. She immediately got to work. While plasma bolts flew over her head, she opened the wound and repaired the damage. She gave Wan a combat stim and pain blockers. Within 5 minutes, he was back in the fight. "How do you do that?" Taemin asked. "You work like the battle is not even happening." "I focus on what I can control," Jiwoo said. "I cannot stop the war, but I can save lives." More Kronak came around the corner. These ones were fresh and ready to fight. The humans were getting tired and running low on ammunition. It looked bad. But then something strange happened. From behind the new group of Kronak, someone was shooting at them. It was Krix. The Kronak warrior that Jiwoo had healed was attacking his own people. The other Kronak turned in confusion. They did not understand why one of their own was firing at them. In that moment of confusion, the humans were able to gain the advantage. Taemin looked at Jiwoo with new understanding. "You knew this would happen." "I hoped it might," Jiwoo said. "Sometimes the best weapon is kindness." The battle continued, but now it was different. The Kronak were confused and divided. Some were fighting humans. Others were fighting each other. And in the middle of it all was a small human doctor with a big medical bag, saving lives and changing minds, one patient at a time. The space station shook as another explosion hit the outer hull. Through the broken windows, more Kronak ships could be seen approaching. The first wave had been bad enough, but this was going to be worse. Commander Young-Soo Kang's voice came over the communication system. He sounded tired and worried. "All units, we are losing structural integrity on levels 5 through 7. Evacuation protocols may be necessary." Jiwoo was in a damaged section of the engineering deck. The lights kept flickering on and off. Sparks flew from broken electrical panels. The air smelled like burned metal and something else. Something organic. She was not alone. Around her were wounded people from both sides of the battle. 3 humans, 2 Valith aliens and 5 Kronak warriors. All of them were hurt. All of them needed help. The humans were easy to understand. Private One was there with a new wound on his arm. A female engineer named Yoonbi Song had burns on her face from an explosion. A pilot had a broken leg. The Valith were harder to treat because their biology was different. They had blue blood and 4 hearts. But Jiwoo had studied alien anatomy. She knew how to help them. The Kronak were the biggest challenge. They were strong and tough, but they were also suspicious. They did not understand why a human would help them. But they were too hurt to fight back. Jiwoo moved between all of them like she was dancing. She gave the humans antibiotics and pain medicine. She gave the Valith heart stimulants to keep their circulation going. She gave the Kronak blood-clotting agents and bone-healing accelerators. "Doctor," Yoonbi Song said through gritted teeth, "why are you helping them? The aliens, I mean." "Because they are hurt," Jiwoo said while she worked on a Kronak's chest wound. "Hurt is hurt no matter what species." Yoonbi shook her head. "You are too kind for your own good. That kindness is going to get you killed." "Maybe," Jiwoo said. "But it might also save us all." Heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Someone big was coming. The wounded Kronak warriors tensed up. They recognized the sound. Through the damaged doorway came another Kronak. This one was huge, even by Kronak standards. His armor was black with silver markings that showed high rank. His weapons were bigger and more advanced than the others. His eyes burned with intelligence and fury. This was Thekron, a Kronak squad leader. He had been hunting humans through the station for an hour. He had killed 6 of them and wounded more. Now he was here to finish off the wounded. Thekron saw the scene in the room and stopped. His 5 warriors were lying on the floor. But they were not dead. They were being treated. By a human. "What is this?" Thekron said in broken human language. "Why do my warriors live?" Jiwoo stood up slowly. She was much smaller than Thekron, but she did not back down. In one hand she held her medical scanner. In the other hand, she held a plasma pistol that she had taken from one of the wounded Kronak. "They are hurt," she said simply. "I am a doctor. I help hurt people." Thekron looked at his warriors. They were alive and stable. Their wounds were properly treated. Some of them were even sitting up. "You heal enemies?" "I heal anyone who needs healing," Jiwoo said. Thekron had never heard of such a thing. In Kronak society, enemies were killed. Always. There was no other option. But here was a human who had saved Kronak lives. "This makes no sense," Thekron said. "You are weak. Stupid." "Maybe," Jiwoo said. "But your warriors are alive because of my weakness." Thekron raised his weapon. It was a heavy plasma cannon that could blow a hole through a wall. "I will fix this mistake." But Jiwoo did not move. She stood between Thekron and the wounded soldiers, human, Velith, and Kronak alike. "You will have to kill me first," she said. Thekron stared at her. This small human female was protecting his own warriors from him. It was beyond his understanding. "Why?" he asked. "Because this is what humans do," Jiwoo said. "We protect the weak. We heal the hurt. We choose life over death." "That is weakness," Thekron said. "Is it?" Jiwoo asked. "Your warriors were dying. Now they live. How is that weakness?" While they talked, Jiwoo noticed something. Thekron's left arm was moving strangely. There was a smell in the air, a smell of infection. The great Kronak warrior was sick. "Your arm," she said. "It is infected." Thekron looked down at his arm. There was a wound there from an earlier battle. It had not healed properly. Green pus was leaking from it. The infection was spreading through his system. "It does not matter," Thekron said. "I will die with honor." "Or you could live and continue fighting," Jiwoo said. "I can fix that infection." Thekron laughed. It was a harsh sound like metal scraping. "You would heal me too? Your enemy?" "Yes," Jiwoo said without hesitation. The wounded Kronak on the floor were listening to this conversation. They looked at each other with confusion. Their own leader was sick and this human wanted to heal him. It changed something in their minds. One of them, a warrior named Grix, spoke up. "Leader, she healed us. We were dying. Now we live. Maybe we should listen." Thekron turned his weapon toward Grix. "You speak of surrender?" "I speak of honor," Grix said. "She showed us mercy. Is there not honor in mercy?" This was a new idea for the Kronak. They had never thought about mercy as honorable before. They had always thought it was weakness. Jiwoo saw her chance. She stepped closer to Thekron. "Give me 5 minutes," she said. "Let me treat your infection. If you still want to kill everyone after that, I will not stop you." Thekron considered this. The infection was making him weak. He could feel his strength leaving him. Maybe the human could help. 5 minutes, he said. "Then we fight." Jiwoo nodded. She put down her weapon and opened her medical bag. She took out an antibiotic injector and infection cleanser. Thekron sat down heavily. As she worked on his arm, cleaning the wound and fighting the infection, they talked. "Why do humans heal enemies?" Thekron asked. "Because we believe all life has value," Jiwoo said. "Even Kronak life." "We do not believe this. We believe only the strong deserve to live." "But who decides who is strong?" Jiwoo asked. "You were dying from infection. Does that make you weak?" Thekron thought about this. "No. That makes me unlucky." "Then maybe strength is not just about fighting. Maybe it is also about surviving, about adapting, about learning." She finished treating his arm. The infection was stopped. His strength was returning. Thekron felt better than he had in days. "There," Jiwoo said. "You are healed." Thekron looked at his arm. The wound was clean. The pain was gone. He felt strong again. This human had given him back his fighting strength. "Now you can kill us all effectively," Jiwoo said with a small smile. Thekron picked up his weapon. He pointed it at Jiwoo. His finger was on the trigger. All he had to do was pull it. But something had changed. This human had saved his life, and the lives of his warriors. She had shown them something new, something they had never seen before. "You are strange creatures," Thekron said finally. "Yes," Jiwoo agreed. "We are." More explosions shook the station. The battle was getting worse. Through the broken windows they could see Kronak reinforcements arriving. "Your people are losing this fight," Thekron said. "Maybe," Jiwoo said, "but we are not giving up." Thekron made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. "Then we will help you not give up," he said. The wounded Kronak warriors looked at their leader with shock. Help the humans? This was unthinkable, but Grix nodded. "The healer saved us. We owe her a life debt." Another warrior agreed. "Honor demands payment." Jiwoo looked around the room. Humans, Valeth and Kronak all working together, all because she had chosen to heal instead of harm. "Come on," she said. "Let's go save some more lives." The command center was in chaos. Red lights flashed everywhere. Alarms were going off. Commander Youngsu Kang stood at the main display watching as more Kronak ships approached the station. "Sir," reported a communications officer, "we have lost contact with sections 12 through 15. Engineering reports massive hull breaches. We cannot hold much longer." Youngsu clenched his fists. They had fought well, but there were just too many Kronak. Soon they would have to evacuate and let the aliens take the station. Then something strange came over the radio. It was Taemin's voice, but he sounded confused. "Command, this is Captain Lee. I am seeing something impossible down here. Some of the Kronak are fighting each other, and there are reports of Kronak helping humans. Please confirm." Youngsu frowned. "Say again, Captain. Did you say Kronak helping humans?" "Confirmed, sir. I'm watching it happen right now. A group of Kronak warriors are protecting our medical bay. They are shooting at their own people." Across the command center, Commander Veltar was listening to this conversation. The tall blue Valeth looked confused. In all his years of military experience, he had never heard of such a thing. "This cannot be accurate," Veltar said. "Kronak do not betray their own kind. It is not in their nature." But more reports were coming in. From Level 7, a pilot reported that wounded Kronak were refusing to fight. From Level 9, an engineer said that a Kronak squad leader was helping humans escape from a damaged section. Youngsu activated his communicator. "All units report any unusual Kronak behavior immediately. Something is happening down there." In the damaged engineering section, Jiwoo was moving through the corridors with her strange group of allies. Thekron walked beside her, his massive form protecting her from enemy fire. Behind them came Grix and the other healed Kronak warriors. Mixed in were the human and Valeth soldiers she had treated. They moved like a small army, but they were not conquering. They were healing. Every time they found wounded people, Jiwoo stopped to help them. It did not matter which side they were on. She treated humans, Valeth, and Kronak equally, and each time she did this, something changed in the minds of those who watched. A young Kronak warrior named Zek had been shot in the leg by human weapons. He was lying in a corridor waiting to die when Jiwoo's group found him. Zek raised his weapon to shoot at the humans, but Thekron stopped him. "The healer comes," Thekron said. "You will not harm her." Jiwoo knelt beside Zek and began treating his wound. The young Kronak stared at her in amazement. "Why do you help me?" he asked in his language. Grix translated for Jiwoo. She looked at Zek and spoke slowly, so Grix could translate back. "Because you are hurt, and I am a healer. That is all that matters." Zek had been taught that humans were weak and cowardly, but this human was risking her life to save him. His own people had left him to die, but this enemy was giving him life. When Jiwoo finished, Zek could walk again. He looked at his weapon and then at the humans around him. Slowly he lowered his gun. "I will not fight the healers," he said. Word of what was happening began to spread through the Kronak forces. Warriors who had been fighting fiercely suddenly heard that some of their own were being healed by humans. Others heard that Kronak were protecting human medical teams. Confusion spread through their ranks. Kronak society was built on simple ideas. Fight the enemy, kill or be killed, show no mercy. But now those ideas were being challenged. Back in the command center, Veltar was studying the tactical displays. The battle should have been over by now. The Kronak had superior numbers and firepower, but instead of winning quickly, they were slowing down. Some of their units had stopped fighting entirely. "Commander," one of his assistants said, "our sensors are detecting unusual movement patterns in the Kronak fleet. Some of their ships appear to be holding position instead of attacking." Veltar thought about this. They are waiting for something. But what? I do not know. This is not standard Kronak behavior. On level 12, Shung Ho Yoon was hiding behind an overturned table with 2 other human soldiers. They were surrounded by Kronak warriors and running out of ammunition. It looked hopeless. Then Jiwoo appeared in the corridor behind the Kronak. With her were Thekron and his warriors. The surrounded humans expected a massacre, but instead, the Kronak began fighting each other. Thekron's group attacked the other Kronak from behind. In the confusion, Shung Ho and his friends were able to escape. "Doctor," Sung Ho called out. "How did you do that?" "I showed them a different way," Jiwoo said simply. She quickly treated the wounded humans, and then, to their amazement, she also treated the wounded Kronak that Thekron's group had defeated. "Doctor," one of the soldiers said, "those ones were trying to kill us a minute ago." "And now they are not," Jiwoo replied. "People can change, even in the middle of a war." She was right. The Kronak who had been healed looked at her with the same amazement that all the others had shown. Some of them put down their weapons. Others joined Thekron's group. Captain Tai Min was watching all of this through his helmet camera. He was sending the footage back to command. Young Soo and Veltar could see everything that was happening. "This is unprecedented," Veltar said. "One human is causing the collapse of Kronak military discipline." Young Soo was beginning to understand. She is not just healing their bodies, she is healing their minds. She is showing them that war does not have to be about killing. "But this is impossible," Veltar insisted. "Kronak are predators. They do not show mercy. They do not change sides." "Maybe they do," Young Soo said, "when someone shows them that there is another way." On the main display, they could see that the pattern of the battle was changing. Instead of organized Kronak units attacking human positions, there were small groups fighting each other. Some Kronak were protecting humans. Others were confused and not fighting at all. Young Soo made a decision. He activated the station-wide communication system. "All human units, this is Commander Kang. We are implementing new tactical protocols immediately. Medical teams are now priority protection targets. Any human who encounters wounded Kronak should offer medical assistance if possible. We are going to try something that has never been done before." Veltar stared at him. "You are going to use mercy as a weapon?" "I am going to use humanity as a weapon," Young Soo said. The new orders spread quickly through the human forces. At first, many soldiers were reluctant to help wounded enemies. But when they saw the results, they began to understand. Every Kronak who was healed by humans became confused about the war. Some stopped fighting. Others switched sides. A few even began protecting human medical teams. The effect spread like a virus through the Kronak forces. Warriors who had never questioned orders began to think for themselves. Leaders who had always demanded absolute obedience found their troops refusing to fight. In the Kronak fleet, commanders were receiving confusing reports. Some of their ground forces had gone silent. Others were sending contradictory messages. A few were actually requesting permission to surrender. Jiwoo continued her work, moving through the station like a force of nature. Everywhere she went, violence turned into healing. Enemies became allies. War became something else entirely. Thekron walked beside her, amazed by what he was seeing. "You are destroying my people's will to fight," he said. "No," Jiwoo replied. "I am giving them permission to choose something other than fighting, and if they choose peace, Then we all win. The final wave of Kronak ships reached the station just as something unprecedented happened in the docking bays. Instead of organized human resistance, the attacking warriors found chaos within their own ranks. Kronak were fighting Kronak. Some were protecting humans. Others were laying down their weapons entirely. A few were even helping to treat wounded enemies. Fleet Commander Morthak watched the battle feeds from his flagship with growing confusion. In 300 years of conquest, he had never seen anything like this. "Status report," he demanded from his bridge crew. "Sir, we are receiving conflicting signals from the ground forces. Some units report victory, others report surrender. Many have stopped responding entirely." "How is this possible?" Morthak roared. "They are fighting weak humans and soft Valith. This should have been finished hours ago." "Sir, there are reports of humans healing our wounded warriors. Some of our people are saying this changes the nature of the battle." Morthak could not believe what he was hearing. Healing enemies is weakness, our warriors know this. But in the station, those same warriors were learning something different. Jiwoo had set up a medical station in the main corridor leading to the command center. It had become a strange sight. Humans, Valith, and Kronak all working together to treat wounded from all three species. Seung Ho Yoon was helping her organize medical supplies. The young soldier, who had been terrified at the start of the battle, was now calmly bandaging a Kronak warrior's arm. "Doctor," he said, "I think I understand now why you brought such a big medical bag." Jiwoo smiled as she worked on a Valith, soldier's damaged breathing apparatus. "You expected to treat enemies?" "I expected to treat anyone who needed help," she said. "War makes everyone a casualty." Thekron was standing guard over the medical station with a mixed group of human and Kronak warriors. Anytime more Kronak approached with weapons raised, he would speak to them in their own language. "The healer is under my protection," he would say. "She saved my life and the lives of my warriors. Honor demands that we protect her." Most of the approaching Kronak would lower their weapons. Some would join the guard. A few would bring their own wounded for treatment. Commander Veltar finally came down from the command center to see this medical station for himself. The tall blue Valith walked slowly through the area, his four eyes taking in everything. He saw humans treating Kronak wounds with the same care they gave their own species. He saw Kronak warriors standing guard over human medical teams. He saw species that had been enemies for centuries working together. "This is impossible," he said to Jiwoo. "Military logic says this cannot happen." Jiwoo looked up from treating a burn on a human pilot's face. "Maybe military logic is incomplete." "How so?" "Military logic assumes that enemies must always be enemies. But what if they do not have to be?" Veltar thought about this. His own species, the Valith, had been at war with various groups for thousands of years. They had never considered that healing enemies might be more effective than killing them. But surely this is just temporary confusion, Veltar said. When the battle ends, they will return to being enemies. Thekron overheard this conversation. "No," the big Kronak said. "Things have changed. The healer showed us something new, something we cannot forget." "And what is that?" "That strength is not just about killing. It is also about preserving life, about choosing mercy when you could choose death." Taemin approached the group. The human captain looked tired but amazed. "Dr. Kim," he said, "I owe you an apology. When I saw you with that medical bag, I thought you would be useless in a fight." "And now?" Jiwoo asked while she prepared medicine for a wounded Kronak. "Now I realize you won this battle before it even started. You turned our enemies into allies. You made warriors into healers. You did something no weapon could do." Young-Soo's voice came over the communication system. "All units report to the command center. We have a situation." Everyone who could walk made their way to the command center. It was a strange procession. Humans, Valith, and Kronak, all walking together. Many of the Kronak were still wounded, but they insisted on coming. In the command center, Young-Soo was talking to someone on the main screen. It was Fleet Commander Morthak of the Kronak invasion force. "Human Commander," Morthak was saying, "what have you done to my warriors? They refuse to follow orders. Some are asking for permission to surrender. Others are protecting your people. Youngsu looked at Jiwoo as she entered the room. We showed them a different way to be strong. This is madness, Morthak shouted. Kronak, do not surrender. Kronak, do not show mercy. Thekaron stepped forward where Morthak could see him. Fleet Commander, with respect, perhaps it is time we learned new ways. Morthak stared at his subordinate. Thekaron, you were one of my best commanders. What has happened to you? I was healed by a human when I could have been killed. I learned that there is honor in preserving life, not just in taking it. This is not the Kronak way. Maybe the Kronak way needs to change. Other Kronak in the command center nodded in agreement. Grix spoke up. Fleet Commander, we have seen things today that challenge everything we believed. Perhaps we should listen. Morthak was quiet for a long moment. His entire worldview was being challenged by his own warriors. Jiwoo stepped forward. Commander, Morthak, you can continue this war. More people will die, more suffering will happen, or you can try something different. And what do you suggest, human? Let me treat your wounded, all of them. Let me show your warriors what I showed these ones. Let them choose for themselves what kind of people they want to be. Morthak considered this. It went against everything he had ever learned about warfare, but he could see the results on his screen. His ground forces were no longer effective because they were more interested in healing than killing. And if I agreed to this madness, then maybe we find a way to end this war without more death. Veltar was watching all of this with fascination. Commander Morthak, if I may. I have observed today something that challenges all our assumptions about warfare. This human has achieved victory not through superior firepower, but through superior compassion. You recommend surrender? I recommend evolution. Morthak was quiet for another long moment. Then he made a decision that would change the course of history. Very well. I will allow medical teams to board my ships. But if this is a trick, it is not a trick, Jiwoo said. It is just medicine. Over the next several hours, something amazing happened. Human medical teams, protected by mixed groups of human and Kronak guards, went aboard the Kronak ships. They treated wounded warriors. They showed the same compassion to enemies that they showed to friends. The effect was the same as it had been on the station. Confusion turned to understanding. Hatred turned to respect. War turned to something else. By the end of the day, the battle was over. But it had not ended with victory or defeat. It had ended with transformation. Jiwoo sat in the medical bay, treating the last of the wounded. Around her, humans, Velith, and Kronak were working together to clean up the damage from the battle. Taimin came to find her. Doctor, the media wants to interview you. They are calling you the woman who stopped a war with a medical bag. Jiwoo looked up from bandaging a young Kronak's arm. I did not stop a war. I just showed people that they had choices. Same thing. Is it not? Maybe. Seung-ho approached with a question. Doctor, what happens now? Do the Kronak just go home? No, came a voice from behind them. It was Thekaron. Now we learn. We learn how to heal instead of just how to hurt. We learn how to build instead of just how to destroy. And the war? Thekaron looked at Jiwoo. The war is over, but something better is beginning. Months later, the incident at Horizon's Edge would be studied by military academies across the galaxy. They called it the first example of compassionate warfare, the idea that healing enemies could be more effective than killing them, but Jiwoo never thought of it in such grand terms. For her, it had always been simple. She was a doctor. Doctors heal people. It did not matter what species they were or which side of a war they fought on. She had carried a medical bag into battle because that was who she was. And in doing so, she had shown the galaxy that sometimes the greatest strength comes from choosing to heal rather than harm. The war ended not with a surrender, but with an understanding. And it all started with one small woman who refused to see enemies where others saw only targets for destruction. She had been called weak for carrying a medkit, but in the end, that medkit had proven more powerful than any weapon.